Well guys, what are we doing? Bought some cheap Costco oil. Basically we cleaned everything out with old used oil and just pouring all the new oil, so any moisture condensation that was in here, because this engine sat for over a year plus, like 8 months it was sitting with no oil pan, so it made quite a bit of condensation. This should clean everything out. Well guys, I'm pretty happy. We washed everything down with from the valve covers with a little bit of diesel, drained it, a little bit of old oil, drained it, and we put fresh oil, and so far so good. So far we got clean oil, not milky, and there's no more blow-by. There was a lot of blow-by before because there was moisture and condensation. All the blow-by is gone, nothing is dripping, and it's holding steady PSI oil pressure. We popped over the rocker covers, checked inside, everything just looks really good. I mean, the camshaft, the lobes, the rockers, everything looks in really good shape. And I ran this thing with new oil for about an hour, got it up to like 180, 190 temp, and it's looking like new. Oil looking good, everything's looking good. So we're finally gonna swap over our new rear end. This is a Spicer rear end, and what I have on there is a Eaton, but they both use the DS404 diffs, so it should fit no problem. Over here, basically we got an 8-point nut. Unscrew the nut, and we're probably gonna reuse the hubs off of that truck. Everything on that axle is in a lot better shape than on this one, so the only thing I'm basically using is the housing on this thing, and we're gonna clean it up, repaint it. The wrong one mounted. It's actually this one right here, 4.5, but this one's actually 4 3/8, but it still works. All we got to do is take it off, and the other housings actually have this 6-point 4-inch, so that's why I want to reuse that one. It's a little bit better. Start out by draining the oil in the diff, just a regular 1/2 inch plug. Oil doesn't look too bad in here because these are reman diffs. Look right here, has a reman right there, as well as the transmission is also reman. So what do we got over here? The Northwest Rebuild Center. Looks like it's a 16 torque. I'm hoping that's what that means. A little weak, but it'll do. Would be nice if it was an 1850 torque. Now let's get the drum off. Got the wheels off. We got to back out the slack adjuster. That way we could slide the drum off. As you're backing it out, you'll see a gap between the shoes and the drum. So this one looks pretty good. Pretty sure that axle shaft is going to be bent on that side, since the housing is completely going that way. Not straight, but going that way. So I'm pretty sure the axle shaft is bowed out, but we'll see once we get there. Pretty much got everything unbolted from this driver's side. This whole thing could be unbolted instead of taking everything piece by piece, just from the axle itself, and it comes all everything bolted up together. Brake chamber, slack adjuster, and the cam. This housing is all stripped down. Got all the wheel bearings, hubs, everything's off, completely off this one, and we're ready to drop this down. All we're gonna do is use our little engine hoist over here, pull out the diff. That way we're ready to drop this down. Everything's unbolted from it. All the airbags are just gonna stay on here. What this whole mess looks like. Got the old axle out. Guys, there's only about 15 days on this reman rear end. The guy put it in 15 days. His driver lasted, and this truck got in a wreck. It's just crazy. Sometimes you get a bad driver like that. But ready to put the new one in and call it a day. We got to swap over the input shaft from the old housing to the new one. What it is a 2316 to grab this nut off the U-joint. So guys, this is actually a Eaton rear end, and what I picked up is actually a newer. The only way you could tell is Eaton has this rear cover right here is able to be unbolted, while on here it's all welded. Well, which is good because less chance of oil leaking through. But yeah, we got our new seal right here. Got to put in the new seal. All we got to do is just put it back on the truck. All right, we got the input shaft mounted up. All it is you put in the input shaft from the inside. You're gonna see it sit down over here, and it's just a 2-inch nut. That's it. And there it is, ready to go back in the truck. We got some new Permatex gasket maker, and that's it. And this one has been rebuilt. It's a little bit rusted, but 15 days is all the guy was able to put on this thing. We got our engine hoist. That's all we're using. It's holding up the whole entire axle. We're just gonna line it up with the bottom cross members, and that's it. Took us 1 full day. Well, we got that whole axle swapped over, and I'll show you guys the old axle. So this part right here is bent out after the accident because it had an impact into the wheels. So probably can't tell on the camera, but this is like bowed out. So we're finally able to finish up. Got the drive shaft mounted in the front to the diff. That's the new axle housing we swapped in. Got the small drive shaft in the back. Just finishing up some air lines. We had a connection right here that went to the drop axle brakes. All they did was just tap it into the main brake valve over here, and just got to remove the brake fittings. It went from there to these through frame fittings, so I got to get rid of these as well. They're pretty much ready to test drive it. All I have left basically just to get 2 shocks over here. Shaft is going in. Just have to pick up some gear oil and just some paper gaskets. These are actually, guys, the cheapest place for these is at Peterbilt. $5 for both of them. Just like that. Almost ready.
Watch out, here we come.